Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of the Design the Future series. Today I've got a very special guest. Please just go ahead and introduce yourself for me straight away.
Hi everyone, my name's Suhuyla and I'm an osteopath in West Wickham.
Wicked, cool. So yeah, we were just sort of talking before we got started on that. The podcast is typically around online business owners. So it's great to have you on and to get to know your business a little bit better. So what I'd really like to do, because ultimately what this whole series is around is, really inspiring new business owners or someone, even if they've just got like a general idea for a business. It's really just to highlight business owners and, their steps to success, if you like, a little bit. So what I'd like to know firstly is, how did you get into like being an osteopath, or what did you do beforehand? What does your steps sort of look like to owning your own business around the osteopath?
Yeah, so I chose osteopathy as a career because I actually had low back pain and neck pain from about the age of 12, and I'd suffered with headaches from the age of 9, so my parents took me to an osteopath. I've always wanted to have a family of my own as well, so I thought if I had my own business as an osteopath, I could be flexible around having a family, and then also be able to help other people the way my osteopath helped me. So that's my initial reason for getting into it. I studied my A-levels and everything, obviously, and then went straight to university. It's a 4-year medical degree that I did, an integrated master's degree at the European School of Osteopathy. And then I worked for a couple of other osteopaths, just getting a bit of experience and that kind of thing when I first qualified, and then set up on my own, probably properly, I would say January 2016. And then it's just gone from there.
Amazing. So did you progress straight into like having your own location as well?
Yeah, so my clinic, technically I work from home. So we converted the front room into a clinic.
Oh, nice.
It's like a little cottage on its own, and it has 2 front doors, one that goes into the hallway and one that goes into what would be the front room. So we converted the front room into a clinic. So we moved here June 2015, knowing that I would want to work from this premises, work from home. And then me and my husband got married in December 2015. So I'm Turkish Cypriot, so our wedding was pretty massive.
I've been to a Turkish wedding, I know what they're like.
Yeah. So most of my time, the rest of that year, was just settling in here and organising the wedding. And then when I got back from our honeymoon, I then sort of fully to myself and concentrated on the business.
Wicked, cool. So owning your own business, what motivates you now? Obviously, coming from working under someone, essentially working every day for someone else's business. What motivated you? Obviously, you mentioned your kids and stuff like that. But what was sort of like the bigger picture of owning your own business in terms of like the flexibility as well? Must be great working from home.
Yeah, I think the main thing was the flexibility, and I'll come into that in a little bit more detail in a second. Just also, I guess everyone likes working in a certain way. Some maybe more than others. I'm one of those people that I like to work in my way.
Sure.
I'm trying not to call myself controlling, but basically, yeah. For example, when I worked with other people, one of the people that I worked for, I had to chase them up for my schedule for the next day, and sometimes I didn't get it until midnight the day before. And I'd have one patient at 10 o'clock in the morning and then another patient at 7 in the evening, and nothing else to do throughout the whole of the day. So it was just a bit demotivating doing that sort of work. And because I always had a place of my own to work from, it just didn't make sense to try and build a list for someone else and give them 50%, 60% of my earnings when I could do it for myself at home. Really, I wanted to work with other osteopaths at the beginning for a bit of mentorship.
Sure.
But I ended up sort of falling into jobs that were osteopaths renting a room, and so we would take turns working, and so I never actually really saw them, so I wasn't getting that mentorship that I wanted. So yeah, that's why I just thought I'm going to step out and work for myself, and so then I have a bit more, you know, control over my time and
stuff. Yeah.
when I see that sort of thing.
Wicked. So, you know, the main thing that I took away from that is the idea of like mentors and stuff like that, and that really excites me because, you know, obviously running an online business, you know, I've invested into mentors all over the world. You know, with the life that we live at the moment, you know, you got hands-on with people all over the world that's got knowledge that, you know, you can basically take advantage of. You obviously mentioned you went to uni. Has your education sort of looked like since you left uni? Are you still like daily in the trenches, like educating yourself further as well?
Not daily. I couldn't wait to get out of the school lifestyle. But we have to complete 30 CPD hours every year.
Okay.
So I quite often go on courses just to either retouch up on things that I feel like I'm not that confident with. For example, the summer between my first and second year at uni, I actually had a back operation myself for a prolapse disc. So we were learning how to do manipulations and things like that at the beginning of our second year. And I couldn't really get involved because I couldn't do a lot because of the surgery I'd had. So I managed to pass, but I wasn't very confident with my manipulations. I went on a few CPD courses after I qualified just to touch up on that. So things that I feel I'm not very strong at, I do some CPD courses on and really work through. I have another osteopath that works here as well, so we sometimes do CPD together as well, just to keep on top of things. And now I feel like manipulations is one of the things I'm most confident at. So yeah.
Wicked. Cool. So you know, it's great for me. It's seriously great for me to have you on to get like a different perspective of things as well. One question I love to ask people, obviously, like we were saying in this day and age as well, what are a few apps that you use in your business, whether it's on your phone or on your laptop? Just a couple of apps for someone listening that, you know, they might be like, oh, I've never heard of that, or you know, I've never thought of using it in the way that you might use it within the business.
Yeah, so I mainly use one app. It's called Human Anatomy.
Okay.
I just use it a lot to touch up on insertion and origin points of muscles, physiology, that kind of thing. That's the most common app that I use. I also use a system called Clinico. That's for my diary and keeping track of patient notes and things like that. Other than that, app-wise, I mean, I make silly social media videos. They're not amazing. I use obviously different apps for that kind of thing, but not specific for osteopathy.
Cool. Perfect. Wicked. So the next question I usually like to ask is, you know, they're typically business owners I'm speaking to. So is there any books that you've read? I don't know if you're into books. Feel free to say like, no, I don't read any books. But is there any sort of
I absolutely love reading, but
love it. Is there any sort of like books that you could recommend to someone? Maybe let's just keep it very basic. Like, let's just say they've jumped onto this video and they've typed in like how to start a business, for example, right? And you know, just as from like one business owner to another, what would be a good book that you feel you've read over your time that could potentially open some doors to them?
I have, if I'm completely honest, I'm a massive bookworm, but books like that bore me.
Yeah, cool. I love that.
If you want, but I much prefer talking to people.
Sure. Yeah.
My dad has owned his own business since before I was born. He's an accountant. He had his own client list whilst he was working with another company as well. He would do like after hours private work, and then when I was 5, I think he set up his own office, which just happens to be 2 minutes down the road from here. So I've always had him to go to talk to about setting up a business.
That's really cool. I love
it's better than any book, isn't it? When you've got the real life.
Yeah, honestly, I love that.
I'm part of BNI, Business Networking Initiative. So in my group, we've got 50 members. So I've got 49 other people that have done the same thing as me. And I think I'm the second to last youngest there. So I've got quite access to quite a few people that are older than me that have set up businesses a long time ago. So I get most of my,
knowledge and,
answered, let's say, from them.
Yeah, and guys, like for the people listening as well, hopefully you'll get some value from that as well. Because one thing that I sort of tell like my audience is, you obviously need to surround yourself with people that inspire and motivate you. You're not gonna move forward in any way if you're hanging around with the people that are, doing the things that that you shouldn't really be doing, right?
Yeah.
There's a great way, like we said before, using the internet, that you can virtually surround yourself with these people. If you look at some big business owners or people you're inspired by, this day and age, a lot of them do have content on social media on, stuff that you're talking about. So you can literally surround yourself with those people, via content in this day and age. But that's really great that you mentioned about BNI. I'd love to hear a little bit more, because I've actually been doing some like training with the guys at BNI the last couple of weeks. So been getting to know some of them. But talk to me a little bit more about your experience with BNI, because I think that does really tie into like the whole mentorship and coaching sort of scenario.
Yeah. I mean, you can probably tell from my face, whenever we talk about BNI, I've always got a massive smile on my face, and everyone takes the piss out of me at how excited I get about BNI, but it's truly helped my business in a massive way. So as I said before, I sort of properly started my business concentrating on it January 2016, and I joined my BNI group February 2016.
Okay.
And there's literally not one negative thing I could say. It's massively helped me build my business, not just through referrals, but through business ideas, business support. Being self-employed, you can have a really good week and then a really bad week, and you think, oh my God, my business is going to fail. What am I going to do? And it's just nice to talk to other people and have that support there. I mean, I call them my BNI family. They're like, genuinely, they feel like family. Most of my friends and people I socialize with and everything are people that I've met through BNI.
Amazing.
Helped me business wise. Obviously, again, working for myself, sometimes it can get a bit
lonely, and
it's nice because I get to meet new patients all the time, but in terms of real strong relationships, it's nice to have BNI as well.
Yeah, and I think as well, like if you are like a solo business owner as well, so you said like you have someone that works with you, but it can be pretty lonely, especially like when you think that especially like when you're striving to do all these great things, and you're reaching out to all of these different people, especially when you get like no's or something, like someone says no to something you're offering, like you can be like, oh crap. But to have that sort of support network and to openly speak about that, I think it's great. And the last couple of days I've been doing some training with Amy's BNI group, and all of them I just said, look, let me host like a free training for you guys, just to give you some value, like while you're stuck at home sort of thing. And they absolutely loved it. Like there was like 32 people in there, and they all absolutely loved it. So I definitely think it is useful for business owners, especially if they're getting started by themselves.
Yeah.
Wicked. Cool.
That's absolutely amazing.
So
my group would love that as well if you came and did a bit of training with us.
Yeah, definitely. I've actually recorded it, so I'll send it to you, because they wanted me to send it. So I think there was some people who couldn't make it.
Okay, cool, amazing.
Cool. So firstly, thanks for like telling us all about your business and how it sort of works and everything.
Thanks for having me.
One thing I'd like to know is, where are you sort of looking to take it now, from that starting point to where you are now? What's the bigger picture and the goals? Because one thing I'm really trying to create on here is like a really solid community. So I'd love to have you on in like a year's time, and for us to sit there and say, okay, so you wanted to do this, we've sort of like checked it off now.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if I was to tell you everything, I'd be telling you my secret. Ultimate goal is something that I don't think is in the UK at the moment. So I would love to. Do I tell you or do I not? In case you.
You ain't got to tell me. You can keep that bad boy secret.
No, I'd love to run one day like a medical spa. So, you know, when you hear people going on retreats and things like that, or they go to Bali or they go to Spain and they go on retreats, I'd love to have something that's affordable like that in the UK, but a bit more medical based than just, you know, like when you go on a spa day, people think it's like women with face masks on and, you know, girly whatever. I sort of want to do a relaxing wellness but a bit more medical sort of spa retreat.
Okay.
So you come along for a week of just to rejuvenate yourself basically, and there would be a personal trainer there and osteopath, chiropractor, physio or whatever, maybe even a private GP there, a counsellor, there'd be a gym and that sort of stuff, just somewhere that they can come and really like heal themselves.
Yeah. Well, that sounds cool.
That's my ultimate goal. I've given myself 12 years to get there.
Wicked. Cool. That's definitely, I mean, it's definitely achievable as well. You know, like the people you've got around you, definitely achievable. Wicked. So
Hopefully.
the last question I'd like to ask you before we sort of tie things up is obviously around the current situation. How has it affected you? But, you know, the people I've spoke to in the last week or so, like everyone said, obviously it's affected everyone. It's affected all of us, no doubt, across the world, nationwide. But how has it affected you personally? Because I know that before we started, you've told me you was doing like Zoom consultations as well. You've been doing that as well. So how has it affected you personally?
I mean, I've gone from doing around 25 to 30 hours of hands-on work a week to 1 hour of hands-on work a week at the moment. So I mean, you can look at it in two ways, can't you? You can either feel really negative and rubbish about the situation and sit back and sulk and not do anything, or you can just try and adapt with the situation. So I've been doing online consultations, getting the patients to put their laptop or their computer or whatever somewhere where I can then watch them do some movements as well, and then give them some exercises that they could be doing at home. Just, you know, whilst I can't do hands-on treatment for them, giving them some advice, maybe looking at how they're sitting at home when they're working from their laptop, that sort of thing.
Sorry, you just sparked something in my head. You'll love this.
Yeah.
I've got this the other day. The old standing desk.
Brilliant.
Yeah, I didn't even think about saying that to you, but yeah, I got this.
Good.
Goes a bit too high. But yeah, because I actually, I don't know if you know, but I used to be a personal trainer and I had serious.
Yeah, you mentioned, yeah.
I had serious lower back problems. So yeah, sitting at my desk all day was mad. So yeah, sorry, you just sparked that in my head. I thought, I better show you this.
I'm using a hydraulic couch.
Oh, okay.
So the couch can go either up or down. We can go a bit lower if we want to.
Love it.
A bit higher if we want to, depending on where I'm sitting and what I'm doing. Because I also make natural scented candles, and so quite often I'm sort of bent over pouring candles out. So I put this up as high as it will go so that I can stand up nice and straight and pour them out instead of hunched over.
I love it. So yeah, the main thing, like, I wanted to ask about the whole, like, we just spoke about, like, adapting and you know, making these things. Has it sort of opened your eyes in a sense of, like, certain situations that you'd be like, okay, it would make a lot more sense for me to do a virtual consultation with this client and then, you know, get them down, you know, forget about all of this that's going on currently, but when we're back into a normal state, has it made you sort of think there's certain things that I could be doing that's gonna essentially take me out of the question a little bit in terms of, like, time and managing the day-to-day process? Because
I mean,
by doing that, is it freeing up?
Say that again.
So yeah, has it sort of, like, opened your eyes to think that you could do certain things different ways that's going to take up less time?
Yeah, it has. And when I first started doing the online consultations, I thought, oh my God, this is brilliant. I can actually see a lot more than I thought I would be able to. Like, I mean, I could see one lady, I could see she had tighter muscles in her lower back on one side than the other. And I didn't think I'd be able to see that through a webcam.
Sure.
And so at first I was like, oh, this is amazing. I can do online consultations, and then, you know, they can come into the clinic and we'll get straight into treatment or whatever. But I'm a real face-to-face person. I'm one of those people where if I call a number and I'm just talking to an automated voice, by the end of the phone call, I'm yelling down the phone because I want to just talk to a human, not a robot. And so I don't know, I'd have to try and find a balance of making sure that I don't lose that personal connection that I have with my patients, because I like them to know that I'm not just their osteopath in that half an hour that they're coming to me for treatment. I'm there 24/7 at the other end of the phone or an email or whatever. If they've got any question, no question is too silly, you know, so any question on how to do exercises, or this hurts, what shall I do, that kind of thing. And I like having that personal relationship with my patients. So I worry that if I started to, you know, do initial consultations, it's the first time that I'm meeting someone.
Sure, yeah.
Do I want to do that on the computer? I'm not sure yet.
But yeah, I suppose like with that sort of thing as well, but if you have got like existing clients, for example, and they don't necessarily want to, you know, maybe they live like half an hour away. Obviously they've got to drive for half an hour. They've got to come to you for a session for an hour. They've got to drive home. Like that's 2 hours. Whereas it might be something that, like you said, you can see enough on these Zoom calls. If it's like a certain situation, obviously now you might be like, oh, it's going to make a lot more sense for us to jump on a Zoom call. And if we can't tackle what needs to be tackled, then obviously
exactly, because sometimes I get patients that sort of come in and I feel like they could have probably postponed their treatment. They didn't need to come in so soon because they're doing well already. And so for those patients, I mean, that'd be brilliant. You could do a quick checkup on Zoom and see whether they need to come in that week or not, whether we need the appointment or we can postpone it, that kind of thing. That it will work brilliantly for that.
And I think, like, personally, from like an outsider's point of view, like, I hope you don't mind, but in terms of like retention of clients and customers as well, like it would be a great thing to offer as like a part of your service, that when someone comes to you, for example, if or when they, you know, they don't feel like they've made any progress, then you could say, like, as part of our service, in a week's time, you get a free 10-minute catch up on Zoom. Like, and I think that in terms of like retaining your customers could be amazing. Because,
that would be brilliant.
Like, and it's little things like that. Sorry, I get excited about little things like that, but it's like
that's all right. It's good ideas.
Like that would, like, literally, like, because you're maintaining that relationship, and it's something I don't think any other people would be doing.
No, that's massively important to me. Is I like to treat people the way I would like to be treated, and I'm a massive one on like customer service, and you know, in any business anywhere I go, whether it's a chain or whether it's a, you know, just tiny backstreet restaurant or whatever, I'm really big on customer service. So I like to make sure that my patients know that I genuinely care about them, and it's not just
like it's not like a sales sort of.
Like for my maintenance patients, I do like a bonus card thing. So if they collect 10 appointments, they get that 10th one free. Just little things like that, just so they know that I'm not just doing it to, you know, try and get their money. I genuinely care about them and what's going on with their body.
Wicked, cool. So with that being said, what would be, you know, this might be a bit of a funny one for you, if you could explain, but is there any sort of like success stories that you could tell us about in terms of like clients that have come to you in like a really bad situation, and, you know, how have you sort of helped them from A to B? This would be pretty cool.
Well, I've got loads of those, luckily. I can't stick to just me. Can you imagine if I was like, no, I have no success?
Like, no, everyone's still crippled. It's funny though.
I'm really rubbish.
It's funny though, because like when I was working in the gym, I slipped. Well, you're going to know a lot better than I would, but I slipped my LS disc. and I was in a bad way. Like I
Yeah.
couldn't sit down for longer than like half an hour without literally like spasming out. And
Yeah.
I went to, I don't know if he was an osteopath. I think he was an osteopath, but I went there on my lunch break for work, and I was laughing because I went there for 4 weeks, like the same day every week. And I was like,
Yeah.
I was like saying to everyone in the gym, I was like, I'm literally going and paying to be beaten up. Like the way that I was going in there, like he'd have me in and he'd lay me on the desk, and then like all of a sudden like this leg was over my face, and like he's then pushing me down, and like the whole time I'm like, no, seriously, like, and then it would get to the next week and I'd be like, no, I'm literally leaving work on my lunch break to go and get beaten up, like the way.
Yeah, what am I doing?
But then like I'd keep doing it, and I'd done it for 4 weeks, and then all of a sudden it had just completely gone. So like
Yeah.
I do seriously rate it, even though at the time it was horrible.
Yeah. Do you know what? I think someone's success massively depends on the patient as well. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm a huge believer in the psychological element of treatment. So
Yeah.
I once had a dentist come in and see me, and straight away, like in his initial consultation, he basically told me that he thinks what people like me do is a scam, and something along the lines of, you know, we just get we like cause problems almost to try and get people to come back.
Oh yeah. But
And I was like,
I've heard that though. Like and you know, when you think about it as well, like in a just like from like a customer's point of view, I suppose
yeah,
it's going to be really interesting. I suppose, ain't it? But that is like how I felt, because like I'm going there and he's
yeah.
like pulling me about, and like it would be like down as an hour session, and then I'd go in there and I'd be in there for like 20 minutes or something, and he's like clicking me and like all of that, and he's like, yeah, you can go now, and I'm like, thank you. But then it happens, and then it does work. So but yeah, I think you're always,
do you know what, it just really depends on who you see, and unfortunately the labels don't help. So many people ask me, what's the difference between an osteopath, chiropractor, physio? And actually it just depends on what kind of practitioner you see. You could put me next to a chiropractor and I might work more similarly to them than how me and another osteopath might work.
sure,
It's just
yeah.
totally different. I mean, my sessions are half an hour long and I tend to overrun by maybe 5 or 10 minutes, but then you might have someone who's, you know, told you you're going to get a 45-minute session and it's only 20 minutes long. It just, and if I can try and explain that from a practitioner's point of view, obviously there are unfortunately some people out there who are just not giving you the time that you need, but sometimes I will see the same patient
that's
1 week
within any business as well, right?
Yeah, 1 week they need 40 minutes and the next week they only need 20, because either their body's like got used to the treatment and is responding quicker, or there's just not as much going on, or for whatever reason. And I can understand from the patient's point of view, they probably feel a little bit cheated out of their time. But actually, from a practitioner's point of view, I'd rather stop at a point that I think is good than over-treat and treat for the sake of treating and not actually be doing any good for the patient.
And do you think some people do over-treat within the industry?
I think it's more common that people under-treat, probably is a more common thing, because they're trying to see as many people as they can certain period of time. But again, that comes back to retention of what we were talking about. I'd rather give my patients the time that they need and the time that they deserve for the money that they're giving me, in the hope that they understand that I genuinely care about them and I'm doing what's best for them, so they will continue coming to see me, because that's going to work better for you in the long run than constantly having new clients and only giving them 20 minutes, but, you know,
sure, yeah,
get money quick, but it's not going to work long term, I feel like, anyway.
No, definitely. So yeah, moving into like the last couple of minutes, I'd love to, obviously, you know, sort of like where I come from in terms of like a business point of view. I obviously run like a social media agency, so it'd be great for the people that have come on here to know a little bit more about like your experience with social media. Like, do you run it yourself? What sort of processes do you go through in terms of creating content? Does it generate does it generate new customers for you? What's like your process being an osteopath when it comes to creating content?
So when I first started my own business, I used to think that I'd be able to do social media. It's one of those things that you sort of think, yeah, you just take a picture and you post it, and you just do that once every day, and that's it. Like, it's not hard. And so you think to yourself you can do it, and I'd be really good at it for like 2 weeks, and then a month would go by and I haven't posted anything, and I'm like, oh, God's sake, okay. And so then again, I'm really good for 2 weeks, and then a month will go by and I'm just like, oh, this is just so much effort. There was a lady at BNI who, in my BNI chapter, who joined, and she did social media for people.
Cool.
I mean, she was there for about a year before I started using her services, because again, I was just like, I'm not going to pay someone else money for something that I should be doing. You know, you should be able to just post a picture every day. What's wrong with you, Suhuyla? Just get it done. Stop being lazy, you know, that sort of thing. But having your own business and a 3-year-old and trying to run a house and whatever as well, it just wasn't happening. And since I've had someone else running my social media, I now hear stories of patients coming in to see me, and I always ask every patient, you know, how did you come across osteo wellbeing, just so I can see where my marketing is working and where it might not be.
Yeah, of course.
And say, oh, I was at the hairdresser's up the road, and someone was getting their hair done there, and she recommended you, and then the hairdresser agreed that you were amazing, and I didn't even know that hairdressers was there. And the hairdresser there is recommending me. So I think that's all come from like my social media, people putting, like, giving in reviews on my Facebook or Google and that kind of thing, and just my social presence has really built up through having someone else sort my social media out for me.
Oh, cool. And is she still doing that for you to this day?
She is, yeah, at the moment, yeah.
Cool. So yeah, guys at home, like, listening as well, because obviously that's like what I do, but what you was talking about is like a common knowledge between business owners, because from like an outside point of view, it does seem simple just to, you know, to pull your phone out and to do some captions and create some pictures. But when you're a business owner, you shouldn't be focusing on social media. Like, it's definitely something you need to have, but it shouldn't be where you should be spending your time. And something that I've done before is I worked with a company beforehand, and they actually had one of their staff members, and the deal that the owner had with the staff member was, okay, if you post to the social media every day, you'll get like a £300 a month bonus. And it was like, okay, cool, that's a really good bonus for this staff member. But in the same sense, like, if she wants to earn, or if he wants to earn that £300 a month, he's then got to take away time off of his jobs that you're literally actually paying him for to complete that task. So it's like, okay, but why would you not spend that £300 for a company that actually expertise, like they're expert within that field? It makes a lot more sense, because obviously then your staff can actually focus on the actual business and what's bringing money into it. So yeah, that's a common thing that people sort of have. And it's like, even like me, like, I run a social media agency, but it's also sometimes hard for me to post on my own social media because I'm doing for other people. But definitely comes down to the whole, like, systems and processes to have in place. But that's great that you've had sort of like that.
I think that's something that all new business owners have to learn, is to work where, you know, put your energy where it's going to be worth it. I'm an osteopath. I'm all about hands-on. I hate technology. And so why would I do my own social media? Exactly. You know, I'm doing some at the moment just because we can't work in this specific situation. I'm not able to do as much hands-on stuff, so I've got the time to spend. But I mean, I'm sort of created a week's worth of social media content. It took me like all day to just do a few videos, and then the next day to do the videos of the exercises. So it was just there's no way I would have been able to do that if I was working hands-on at the same time.
Sure. Yeah. I've got a videos somewhere. I'll leave it here, which is automate a month's worth of social media in 30 minutes. Might be
Oh
worth
my
checking
God.
out. That's a little intense. So the last question I'd like to ask before we jump off, we've talked about it
Yeah.
ever so slightly, and you've mentioned it throughout. But the last question I like to ask everyone on here is about teams and outsourcing. So, you know, you've just mentioned that you already outsource your social media content creation. Is there anything else within the business that you have like outsourced, or you have a team in place to help you with it?
So the lady that does my social media is part of a company that deals with websites and things like that as well. So I'm currently in the process of having them design me a new website as well. And then I have another osteopath here. So I think, when was it? Was it December 2018, around that sort of time? I just got too busy to handle, you know, the amount of patients that were calling for appointments. And I was having to say that my waiting list was 2 weeks' time. And obviously when someone's in pain, they don't want to wait 2 weeks. So a friend of mine was moving back to England from India, and she's an osteopath as well. So she joined the clinic January 2019 and it's still going. So that's brilliant. And then I also have people here that do massage and facial aesthetics and things like that. So they rent the room here. So it's something that I can say my clinic offers, but other people are organising the time and doing that, all of that for me, if you know what I mean.
Amazing. Wicked.
So yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Wicked. Well done. Well, thank you so much for coming on. It's been an absolute pleasure to get to know you and your business.
Thank you for having me.
And yeah, like I said before, I'd love to have you on end of the year and just sort of keep up.
Yeah, that'd be amazing.
On. Okay.
Yeah, definitely be up for that.
Perfect. Well, guys, thank you for listening and watching. Hopefully you got some value out of this video, and I'll see you in the next episode. Take care, guys. Bye-bye. Hollywood 6.